Good evening, Lansing School District, community stakeholders, parents, and students, and welcome to our Parent University session entitled, If I Go to Counseling, What Will My Friends Think? My name is Kyron Harvell, and I'm the director of the STAR grant. STAR stands for School Transformation Accelerates Results. We are very fortunate this evening to have Mr. Royce Jones, Student Support Specialist at Sexton High School, who will provide this wonderful presentation. Feel free to any questions you have in our Q&A box. This session is being recorded and will be available on the Austin School of Culture website. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and I'll turn over to Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Harvell. I appreciate the opportunity. Just want to share my screen with you guys, and we'll get right straight into it. So if we go to counseling, what will my friends think? That's an interesting question there. So let's just talk about it a little bit. So some of the things we're going to go over here is what the World Health Organization defines as mental health, some common reasons why people don't seek out mental health, as far as going to therapy or counseling, coaching, things like that. We'll also talk about myths in regards to mental health, some recent statistics here in Michigan when it comes to mental health and mental illness. We'll also talk about some reasons why to seek out help. And then in addition to that, what help will do for you, and then some resources that can help you also. So the World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with normal stress of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So just think about that for a minute. Well-being, life, normal stressors of life, productivity, fruitfulness, and contributing to the community. Those are all things that as individual human beings, we should be able to do. But some of us have some challenges in that area, and that's okay. That's why we have help. So here's a nice quote. Mental pain is less dramatic than physical pain, but is more common and also more hard to bear. That's by C.S. Lewis. I often like to think that, physical pain is something that we can bear, but the mental pain, mental anguish is sometimes harder for us to bear. And we carry things with us for long periods of time. And that pain that resonates with us, it's manifested in so many different areas of our life. And so therapy, seeking out counseling will help you deal with those challenges. So why don't we seek out help? Here's a few reasons. So fear and shame. I know for different communities and populations and cultures, it's frowned upon, so to speak. And we don't really talk about mental health or mental illness. And this is something that it should be common conversations. Another one is lack of insight. So a lot of us don't know what mental health is, and we don't even know what mental illness is. We associate the two as one and the same when they are different. Limited awareness. Again, every single person on this planet that's breathing needs to maintain a good state of mental health. So that's just awareness of your feelings, your emotions, the anxiety, the fears, the sadness, awareness of all of those things right there. Feelings of inadequacy. So that means that sometimes you feel weak. You feel like maybe if I go to therapy, if I go to counseling, I'll be labeled as weak. Another one is distrust. So if I seek out counseling, what are people going to say? Are they going to use the information for something else? So it's that lack of trust that keeps us from seeking out help when it comes to therapy and counseling. And then hopelessness. Sometimes we feel like, no one can help us. No one can understand. And that's a barrier. And then unavailability. And so that means that, you don't really understand like what's available to you, or there could be shortages when it comes to seeing a psychologist or psychiatrist and mental health workers. So that's another barrier. And then practical barriers, meaning that sometimes people don't have the insurance to seek out that help. And with that, there are other resources out there for you. So we're also going to talk about some common myths in regards to mental health. So people with mental health issues are violent. I mean, we see in society, we see on social media how, you always see the backlash of, okay, this person was shot and killed, or this person committed suicide. And we see the violence, quote unquote, of what mental illness is, but we don't see the positive effects that mental health has. And we have that negative connotation on what mental illness is, what mental health is. And that's not the case. Another one is taking pills cure mental health problems. That's false. It only it doesn't cure it. It just sustains it and medicates it, so to speak. Recovery from mental illness is impossible. That's another myth. You don't have to live with mental illness for the rest of your life. It's restructuring our thoughts, restructuring, our experiences, restructuring our perspective, and then being able to process some things that we dealt with for a long time. The mental health problems are uncommon, which that's a huge myth right there. Every single person that's breathing on this earth is going through some type of challenge. And with every challenge, there's an opportunity. This is just about life. And there's seasons in life where we have sadness, we have happiness, we go through things where it's just unfortunate situations, the loss of a person. And those things are all common, and all of those things can lead to mental illness. So the next one, people with mental health conditions can work with others. Well, that means I can't work with you and you can't work with me, because all of us at some point in our life has some type of mental health challenge or condition. So just think about that. Mental health problems are signs of weakness. That's false. I mean, every single one of us is strong. Every single one of us at any moment could have a challenge with our mental health. It's not a sign of weakness, and expressing it is a sign of vulnerability and strength. So only people without friends need therapy. That's also false there, because you can't talk to your friends about everything. There are some things that you only want to talk about in a confined and confidential place. So mental health conditions are permanent. And again, that's not true. That's why you have treatment, and treatment helps with dealing with those mental health conditions. And then lastly, people with mental health problems are crazy. We've all heard, he just crazy, or that person's just crazy. No. There was something that happened to that person, and it caused them to change in their mental capacities as far as their thinking, their cognitive behaviors, their emotions. It could have happened from childhood. It could have happened from trauma. It could have happened from an accident. There are a number of different reasons, but they're not crazy. I guess I could say that all of us could be considered crazy at some point, because we're all different. So here are some statistics here when it comes to mental health and illness. So 47 million. So 47 million adults are experiencing mental illness right now. Think about that. 57% of adults with a mental illness receive no treatment. That's an issue, that's a challenge. And why is that? Because of those stigmas. Because people are thinking more about what others are thinking about them versus their own happiness and wellness. So over 26 million individuals experiencing mental illness are going untreated. So that means there's a lot of people who are walking around here that you work with, that you see in the store, that you're in the drive-through with, that that you consult with and talk to on a daily basis. These are people who have some type of mental illness or mental health challenge that's going untreated. They're not talking about it. And why? Because we've had this stigma. We haven't made mental health and mental illness a table talk conversation and just part of our daily conversation. And that's something that we need to change. And we can change it by, as parents, talking to our kids, sitting down with them, asking them like how are you doing emotionally? Are you going through some period of sadness? Do you have anxiety? Are you feeling okay? Is there something that I can do to help? And then you too being vulnerable and telling your children about some of the challenges you've had in your life. I think that's very important. And that also creates a space where now they not only realize that it's okay to talk about mental health or mental health challenges, it's also good to talk about, some common strategies and things that you went through. So in Michigan, 19%, that's over 1.4 million people have some type of mental illness. Think about that. So about 2 out of every 10 that you see, have some type of mental illness. 7% of those adults have been diagnosed with some type of substance use disorder. 6% of adults who have been diagnosed with a mental illness do not have medical insurance. That's another barrier. That's something that, as we continue to raise the awareness, as we continue to make mental health common, hopefully that will change. And then 53.8% of adults with any mental illness do not receive treatment. And so that's people like you and me who have the stigma, who don't want to talk about it, who feel like they'll be judged and ridiculed by others. And the truth is, all of us need help. All of us need to go see somebody. All of us need to talk about the challenges and things that we've gone through in our lives. Why? Because it's caused us to repeat some behavior. So continuing on here. Some signs that you may want to talk to somebody. You may want to seek some help. So unresolved childhood issues. And these are things that you haven't talked about to anybody. These are things that you've chosen to bury down, to repress or suppress, so that you don't have to deal with the effects and the feelings that go with it. Some of it also is anger issues. You could be angry with a mother or a father or a sibling. And you feel let down. It could be bullying, a number of different things, but anger issues, uncontrollable emotions. Like sometimes you just feel like I can't control my feelings. I feel like I'm high and then I'm low. I feel sadness and then I feel happiness. I feel love and then I feel pain. It's just a roller coaster type of thing, and it's hard for you to manage. Fatigue, like you're feeling always tired, sluggish, sad, those things like that. Anxious, you're always worrying. You're always having thoughts that are just off the wall. Like, why am I having this type of thought? Destructive thinking is what I like to call it. And those are some of the things that, when you go to therapy, when you go see a counselor or therapist, they can help you reframe all of that stuff. Excessive fear, that goes with anxiety. Like you fear going out, you feel like you might get COVID by the handle at the gas station or the handle at the door at the gas station or, anything. You just have excessive fear to where you can't even you don't even want to go outside. It's excessive fear. Inability to focus. You just can't seem to really focus on one thing. You're scatterbrained, and it's hard for you to get things done. Why? Because everything's all over the place. So repeating dysfunctional behavior, I'll often say you repeat what you don't repair. So when you find those things out about yourself, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to, just not being able to finish things, repeating those same behaviors that are now causing dysfunction in your home, in your relationships, at work, at school, that are pushing people away from you. And you're isolating yourself. It's dysfunctional behavior. Those are the things that you may want to go talk to somebody about that. A lack of motivation. You just don't feel like getting up in the morning. You don't feel like, you feel helpless or hopeless or worthless. You've never been told that you were valuable that you were beautiful, that you were handsome. You've never been told these things, so you lack the motivation. You don't think that you're smart enough. You don't think that you look good enough. All of these things. Like you talk to somebody about it. Talk to someone who can help. And I often think that as far as framing when it comes to a therapist and counseling is that these are people who give you mental tools to help you through life. That's what they are. And then repeated relationship problems. You wonder why you keep getting in and out of relationships. You have attachment, detachment issues. Those things like that. And those are, and again, this is normal. Like all of us have gone through things like this in our life. Like every single person has. And so some of us have gone through it, but we weren't diagnosed with anything. Why? Because we didn't seek out help, but we got through it. But what would have happened if we did seek out that help? If we did talk to somebody? So we're just trying to make this thing common. So why therapy helps? So it helps you to develop a new perspective about life's challenges. I like to think of it as you have a picture frame, you have a picture, and then you have a frame. The picture is your reality. The frame is how you view it. If you change the frame, you can change how you view whatever it is that you're going through. I know for me personally, when I went through some things in my life, in the moment, I didn't see it. I just saw it as a negative. But as I continued to grow and develop, I said, you know what? This didn't just happen to me, but it happened for me. And that nothing in life is ever wasted. We go through things and we can use it to get to the next stage and the next season of our life. So it helps you put a new perspective, paint a new picture, put a new frame on what's called your reality. So it teaches you emotional regulation and management. Teaches you how to, know what, emotions are and their proper use and the intensity levels on that, and then how to manage it. So another way that therapy helps, it's a safe and confidential environment. It's a place where you can unload all of your problems and you don't have to fear the shame and the ridicule or judgment. So it helps you to expand your mind. It helps you to expand like who you are as an individual person, because a lot of us lack confidence. And going to therapy can help you increase that confidence and your motivation. It'll help bring clarity to some issues that you may have had some fogginess about. And this is just offering like a different perspective, again, a different lens. And I also like to say that, when it comes to, life, we see life through a lens, a different perspective. And all you have to do is change the lens. When you change the lens, you can start to see things differently. So it also motivates you to change, motivates you to, maybe you didn't graduate high school. It motivates you to go and get that GED and to continue on and get the college education. Motivates you to get up out of bed and go to work. Motivates you to maybe volunteer. Motivates you to do some of the things that you may have not done in a long time. Maybe go out and have a walk, take a vacation, meditate, work out, eat healthier, all of these different things. Also helps you to find some sense of peace and happiness. So that trauma that may have happened to you as a kid, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault how you grew up. It wasn't your fault what happened to you. It'll help bring a sense of peace so that you can move forward, so that you can find that happiness that fits your life. It's a non-judgment zone. You don't have to worry about anyone pointing the finger at you and telling you that you're wrong and that this is that and it's this. No judgment whatsoever. Gives you an opportunity to see your true potential. All of us have potential that's on the inside of us that's waiting to be unlocked. It's like a key. You got to unlock it. And going to therapy can help you unlock that thing. And then you also realize when you do go that everybody needs it. Everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs to talk to somebody. A lot of times people go to the beauty salon. They go to the barber shop. You go to the bar. You go to all these different places to talk to people and to relate to them. But here you have a professional who is skilled at giving you skills that'll help you process a lot of those things in life. So here are some resources that can help you. You have NAMI Lansing. They hold virtual groups. And NAMI Lansing is National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have groups that'll help you with anxiety, depression, family, mental illness, all of those things. You have community mental health. You have Psychology Today. If you're looking for a therapist or a counselor, you can go there. You have Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. They also have resources available there, michigan.gov, and then put in the search bar mental health services. Facebook groups. They have Facebook groups. If you go to the search bar on Facebook, right, you type in mental health, there's a lot of different groups there too. So it lets you know that you're not alone. Like, none of you are alone. I'm not alone. You're not alone. All of us are going through this together. And then you have local church and other nonprofit organizations that can help you. So lastly, I just want you to know, just like really talk to someone about your mental health. And the real question is, right, if we go back to the first slide here, and again, if we go to counseling, what will my friends think? I think it's time to just put all of that aside and say, you know what will I think about myself if I don't go? Am I going to continue down this path of destruction and ruining not only my life, but maybe my kids' life too? So put aside what your friends think and more about what you're going to think about yourself and how this is going to help you. So I hope this has been informative to you, and I hope it just encourages you, for one, that all of us need to seek out help, and all of us have challenges in our life, and no one is different than the other. So thanks, Mr. Harvell, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones, for that phenomenal presentation. It's so important that we talk about mental health and that we make sure the individuals understand that there's nothing wrong with seeking out support. We need to get past the myths and stigmas that surround mental health and get support as we need. So again, Mr. Jones, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of our families, key stakeholders, staff, students, parents for watching this evening. Again, this session is being recorded and will be available at the Lane School District's website. You click on parents and click Parent Diversity. Thank you guys very much and have a good evening.